Billionaire James Packer has made his first political donation in more than a decade to a Conservative lobby group, according to financial disclosures. Advance opposes mass migration and campaigns to save Australia Day from activists. The $150,000 donation has caused concern among some Liberals about a shift of money away from the party. Now, senior political correspondent Jake Evans joins me now from Parliament House. Jake, what can you tell us about this donation?
G'day, Gemma. Yes, Mr Packer's first donation in about 12 years through his investment vehicle, Consolidated Press Holdings, was to not the Liberal Party, which was the donation more than a decade ago of about $16,500, but instead to the Conservative lobby group Advance. A $150,000 donation that is a sign of a larger trend of a shift in money from particularly big donors away from the Liberal Party towards some of its rivals, and as well some of these groups that some Liberal MPs describe as ideological groups over their party. And that includes the mining magnate Gina Rinehart, most notably one of Advance's largest donors, who has also been providing support more recently to One Nation directly in the form of flights and other assistance, but also a number of hedge fund managers and other traditional supporters of the Liberals who have shifted their money away from the party towards other outfits.
Tell us a bit more about why some Liberal MPs are worried about this.
Well, I spoke to a few Liberal MPs who say it is a worrying sign because it is a suggestion that there are people who are, and particularly big business interests that would be traditionally allies of the Liberal Party, who are looking for something that they recognise as conservative to put their money, and instead of going to the party, it is going to groups like Advance instead. And there are Liberal MPs who expressed a concern to me that Advance doesn't always work in the same interests as the Liberal Party, although often some of those policies align. And while Advance does have some relationships with some Liberals, these Liberals that I spoke to suggested that it also sometimes undermines others. And it's part of this larger trend, as I say, of money shifting away with the party being in the doldrums as it is. It's been polling at some of its record lows in recent months. As we know, One Nation has been outpolling it in a series of polls that are causing concern and were part of what motivated the party to recently topple its leader, Susan Lee. But, you know, as well as those polling figures causing concern behind closed doors, there's also a concern of fundraisers moving away from the party, and we know that MPs are privately urging them to keep the faith, hold on a little bit longer, stick with the Liberals, and hopefully they can turn things around with new leader Angus Taylor.
And Jake, what has Advance had to say?
Well, I heard from Advance that it is an independent third-party organisation. It also wanted to make the point that its executive director, Matthew Sheehan, has never been the member of any political party, and that Advance does not have any formal relationship with the Liberal Party. A few MPs told me that former Prime Minister Tony Abbott had attempted to bring in Mr Sheehan as the New South Wales branch director for the Liberal Party, something that was reportedly unsuccessful. But it's this sign of a growing influence of Advance, whose donation figures have risen from about 2.5 million, or it might have been about 3 million, apologies, 5 odd years ago, to 13.5 million today. This shift of money towards this party, and reports from inside the Liberal Party that it is attempting to assert more influence. Now, the Farrer by-election is coming up with the resignation of Susan Lee, and so that has put a bit more heat on this question of donations and how to respond to One Nation. The party will have to make a decision ahead of that by-election of how it will preference One Nation. Will it take a previous approach of putting One Nation last, recommending its voters put One Nation last, or will they seek to make a preference deal, something that Advance-aligned MPs like Andrew Hastie have suggested they'd be comfortable with? So an interesting test for Angus Taylor approaching this by-election, how he'll respond to that, and also how he'll deal with an influential lobby group that the Liberals often work with, but apparently sometimes don't always work with.